Extremely dry skin and cuticles with short bitten nails. Quite a challenging combo that we are going to transform with dual forms and polygel.
Hello guys, this is Anastasia and today we will be transforming nails of my client Anna again. They look like this now, and if you're thinking that they are not in their best condition, you are wrong, because let me show you what they used to look like. They used to be like this and like this. And even though her skin is still dry, she doesn't have that many hangnails or cuts, which is going to make my life and upcoming service so much easier. So let's get started. I will be using my new double-sided pusher. I really enjoy working with it because one side really mimics the shape of the orange wood stick, and I also like using it a lot. But with some clients like Anna, her skin is really hard, so sometimes orange wood stick simply is not enough, and obviously metallic pusher is a bit stronger, so I use one side to push back the cuticles, and then I can use the other side, which is a bit sharper, to clean some excess skin prior to doing dry manicure. This way I'm not going to overfile her natural nails. If this is your first time watching me transforming Anna's nails, I have the whole playlist and I documented our journey during 4 years already. I will leave the link in the description box. And also regarding this pusher, I get so many questions on when I can order this. I got this particular one from the Russian supplier, and unfortunately they do not ship worldwide, but I found the exact same pusher which is available on Amazon, so I will be leaving the link to it as well. Anna used to be my regular client, so we did so many different transformations, but unfortunately now we live in different countries. But sometimes I come to visit, and whenever I do, of course, we are doing her nails too. If you ever had a nail technician that you're going to for several years, or maybe you're a nail technician yourself, you definitely know how it goes. There's always something to talk with your regular client, and we haven't seen each other for entire year, so just imagine how many news we have to exchange and to share. She still works as a chef at the restaurant, but when we just met, she was working as regular cook in the kitchen. I'm sorry, I don't really know what are the names of these levels, but she was like on one of the lowest levels, and now she's almost at the top, and she recently got a promotion. Meanwhile, I pushed back the cuticles and we proceed to dry manicure. This is flame-shaped diamond bead with red abrasive mark, and the speed is 18,000 rotations per minute. And you probably noticed that there's so much white residue and dust flying all over, and that's true because Anna has relatively dry skin, so there's a lot to clean. But it was so helpful that I did this prep prior dry manicure with a pusher, so now I don't really need to push her skin a lot. I can only clean this area in between because I already opened it with a pusher. If you're working with a client and their cuticles are stuck to their nail, so what I mean by stuck is that you cannot really put an orange wood stick or a pusher in between them, and then you do dry manicure right away, you will need to file first to push them back, and while you do that you will be touching their nails, and her nails are already rather thin, so this is how I avoid doing this. Nail prep is usually the longest part of the entire service when I'm working with Anna, not with all clients, but with her in particular, because there's really a lot to do. Manicure itself and then prep, but it's very important because if you do this step thoroughly, then extensions are going to last. I noticed by reading your comments, guys, as well as by watching analytics and retention rate, that you really enjoy my longer and more detailed videos, so this is going to be one of them we are going to go through every single step of the service. When doing prep and dry manicure, it's rather easy to clean the cuticle area and the sidewalls, but the corners is usually the trickiest part, and it's super important to clean them well because this is usually where all the product lifting starts. So make sure that you clean them too, that the area is going to be completely free of any skin and debris. One of the most common questions is how long does this service takes? So when we are just doing prep and extensions, usually it takes 2.5 hours, but if we're also recording a tutorial or some kind of transition videos, it usually takes a while. So in total, it can take up to 3 to even 4 hours sometimes. And during this time, of course, we talk about all the things in the world. Recently, she was sharing a lot about her personal life. And by the way, guys, any stories that I share about my clients publicly on this channel are always with their consent, of course. I never share anyone's information if they do not agree to it. So she has this interesting problem. She's 22 years old, which for me is very young, of course, and she has a great career. I mean, for her age, in our city, she makes quite a good money. Also, when she shared her ideas on how a relationship should be, honestly, I was surprised how such a young woman has so much wisdom and knowledge already. So anyways, most of the guys that she met of her age seem to have quite different interests. They're not really interested in building career like she does, so they're changing their jobs very frequently, which I can understand. I mean, when you're young, you have no idea what you want to do. So she shared that it feels a bit sad because they're acting like teenagers, they're not really interested in growing their life or careers, and they're just not serious. Since I'm not a therapist or relationship specialist, usually I avoid giving any kinds of advice. I just said that, Anna, don't worry. One day you are going to meet a person who will match your energy and expectations. And I think you are doing really great that you are not in a hurry. You're just looking for someone who will feel like that's the one. Meanwhile, I switched to reverse mode and I'm using the same speed, about 18,000 rotations per minute, and I'm working on the opposite side. And as you can see, we also have a lot to clean here. Lots of dry skin and cuticles to clean. I'm using the same bead to clean the sidewalls, but if there are any areas where there is too much of the dry skin, it might be not enough. So in the end, I will be using a different kind of buffing bead. After I clean the right side, I push up the cuticles, so it's going to be easier to trim them. And we can do this with e-file or with manicure scissors, or nippers, of course, if this is the implement that you prefer. When I'm doing dry manicure with electric nail file, I'm not just cleaning the skin or the sidewalls or the cuticle area, I'm also taking off the surface shine from the nail plate super close to the cuticle, which would be impossible to do with a hand file. So even though it's called manicure, it's actually a very important part of the prep. And then I proceed with a hand file with 180 grit side and remove the surface shine. So I'm mostly working in the center of the nail, in the corners, but there are some areas that are almost impossible to reach with the file, especially when you have deep side grooves like Anna does. So that's why dry manicure that I did before that was super helpful. If I notice a little product leftovers or a little peeling, it's also better to carefully file it off. And even though it may look like I'm filing and filing, I'm actually using a rather light touch. My goal is to make the surface of the nail plate matte instead of glossy. And once you do that, the time is limited. You have about 40 minutes until this oily layer will come back and the nails will be shiny again. And if you're working slowly, if you're just getting started, then you may need to do it again, or you may do prep on just 1 or 2 nails, then do product application and then proceed with the next. on some nails, and I even have a little bit of the free edge, so I'm going to work on it too because it's super uneven, I guess due to the biting. I will just smooth it out and take the surface shine from the thumb too. Manicure scissors that I'm going to use, they have a slight curve and rather short blades. In my opinion, these are the most comfortable to work with, but of course I have few of them. And for Anna, I use the smallest blades because her nails and her fingers are so tiny. It's also important to use a professional and sharp tool. If you have dull nippers or scissors, it's almost impossible to cut the eponychium or the cuticle without damaging the skin. And of course, we need to cut only the dead tissue, the one that's on the top, and this is what it looks like after manicure. So much better and so clean. Now let's apply the prep products, dehydrator, and wait until it's dry. You can already see that they're almost dry already. And then I apply non-acid primer. Since we will be doing polygel and dual forms extensions, I also need to apply gel base coat. Thin coat without touching the skin. Apply it on 4 nails and cure, and I recommend you to apply it on the thumb separately. Now let's apply some nude polygel into the dual forms. I'm sorry, I forgot to record how I was choosing the sizes of the dual forms, but I have plenty of videos in my dual forms playlist. You can check it out if you would like to see how it works. So I apply the product right into the dual form, make sure that I have enough near the sidewalls, and then I apply it on Anna's nails and we freeze cure it for 10 seconds. After 10 to 20 seconds, the product is freeze cured, but it's not fully cured. So you can clean it underneath. If you have some excess product near the cuticle or along the sidewalls, you can also clean it at this point. But be careful, it really depends on the product, on the lamp that you're using, because with some polygels it may not be enough, and once you try to clean something, the nail can simply fall off. So do you see this excess product in the corners now? We can also clean it after freeze curing, as well as this area underneath. I really like working on it with the brush before I fully cure it, because filing it with electric nail file really takes a while, and with the brush it's so much better and faster and easier, of course. You may have seen these videos on YouTube or TikTok with dual forms, where they just slap the product on top of the nail and then there's the final result when it's all clean. So dual forms is truly quite easy technology compared to traditional forms. It's easier to work with them, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to do the application. So then we freeze cure again, and after 10 seconds I can just get rid of this excess parts, goodbye excess product, and then I clean it underneath, and only after that I fully cure it for 1 minute in a full-size LED lamp, and then proceed to the application of the next nail. As you can see, I do application on every single nail, and it's almost the same as with traditional forms. We need to do the cuticle area thinner than usual, we need to build the apex, we need to build the sidewalls, and if you don't do that, the dual form is like a mold, and of course it's going to help you to do this flawless, perfect surface on top, but it's not really going to build the structure for you. So if there's not enough product, let's say near the sidewalls, they're going to be extremely thin, and after a few days you will see these cracks on the sides and the nails will eventually break. If you take too much product or press too much, there will be too much product underneath, and nails like this are also not going to last. So once again, this is how I clean it after 10 seconds freeze cure. So I'm going to avoid filing it all off later, as well as underside of the nail. Then we fully cure them for 1 minute, and this is the outcome. Let's do the most satisfying part of the entire service, which is taking the dual forms off. If they are fully cured and you did not apply the product on top of the dual form, then it's going to be very easy and absolutely painless. This is what the nails look like. There is no sticky layer on top because it was closed with the dual forms, but they might be sticky underneath because this is where we had excess of oxygen. But you can already see that this area underneath is rather smooth and clean, so we will not need to spend too much time on filing and shaping it. So now I only need to file the shape, cuticle area and sidewall because this is where we have a little bit of excess product. And of course, as usual, I got a little carried away and forgot that we're actually not supposed to do super long nails for Anna. So I take my carbide bead and use almost the top speed, 25,000 rotations per minute, and I just file the excess length and also make sure that all the length is identical. Square is her favorite shape, so this is the one we are doing today. When filing the length of the nails, do not forget to check what's going on the other hand as well as on this hand. So normally I check if the index and ring finger are matching, as well as the same fingers on the opposite hand, such as thumbs, pinkies, and so on. And of course, I try to do as much as possible with electric nail file because it's much easier compared to hand file. But then I switch to hand file, and normally 180-150 grit is enough for Polygel. Slightly file them, and since we made them much shorter, now we have some excess product underneath, so the nails look a little thick. So I will be using this small ceramic bead to file off the excess product underneath her nail. I had this drill bit for a while and wasn't using it much, and now I thought it's actually quite convenient, so I'm going to use it on top as well to file the sidewalls and the cuticle area. All I need to do is just to get rid of this excess line that was from the dual forms. It's important to do a very light touch and to not touch the natural nail when you're filing this, because if you will be using carbide or ceramic drill bits, they have rather harsh abrasives, and you're supposed to work only on top of the product with them and never ever touch the natural nails, or you're going to overfile them very quickly, and then you will see these rings of fire once they grow longer. Polygel is a rather soft product compared to, let's say, acrylic, so filing these areas goes pretty easy and smooth, and it's not that hard. The speed I'm using is now about 23-24,000 rotations per minute. By the way, if you would like to feel confident when working with electric nail file, whether it's electric nail file manicure, product removal, or filing and shaping nails like I just did, I have an online class which is perfectly suitable for beginners. After completing each assignment, you will get a feedback from a live teacher and certificate of completion once you complete all the assignments of the course. I will leave the link in the description box if you would like to check it out. Meanwhile, I'm doing the final touches with the hand file as well as with the buffer, because I like when the surface is super smooth, so it's going to be easier to apply the top coat or the color. And also, if this area between the nail and the product near the cuticle and along the sidewalls is seamless, so you cannot really tell where's the product and where's the nail, that means the product is not going to lift even after a few weeks. I'm using a single-use buffer which is 100 and 180 grit on the other side, and normally I use only 180 grit, but on some nails I noticed that they were not filed properly, like this one, so I had to use the harsh side, which is 100 grit. After that, I always ask Anna to wash her hands, so we want to get rid of all the dust, and now her nails look so cute and so clean. So we are going to seal them with a top coat, but we decided to make it a little bit more fun, so this is a semi-transparent milky top coat with a slight golden shimmer, so that way they're going to look a little bit more fun. And this is also a builder top coat, which means you can apply it it not just in a thin coat, but take a little bit more, like you normally do with the builder gel, and then do a little fade like this. Because of her work, Anna is not allowed to do some kind of crazy and flashy designs, but something very simple like this will be just perfect. This is a tag-free top coat, so after application we don't need to apply anything else and we're not going to seal it, but you need to make sure that the surface of the nail is flawless because nothing else is going on top. So when doing this fade, you can use the brush from the bottle or you can use a detail brush like this. Even though we did it so many times already, every time we're done with the transformation, I'm so happy because her nails look so cute now. But when I see Anna's face and she's happy, that makes me even more happy, if you know what I mean. Recently, I really enjoy using this cleansing foam. Technically, it's for the face, but it cleans all the dust so well. It doesn't make the glossy top matte like most of them do, and it also moisturizes the skin so well. So then I use a wet wipe to remove the rest of the foam, and this is how we can get this beautiful look for the final photos without using cuticle oil, because I usually apply it after I take the final pictures and videos. Let me know what do you think about this transformation, and if you would like to see a natural nail overlay that we did on Anna's nails last year, check out this video.